Hey, welcome everybody to my live stream for Business with Super Joe Pardo. This week, I wanted to do something a little different and enable me to. Here comes Ava out of the background here. I wanted to do something a little different to answer questions that people may be having about the first episode of the show before I post it onto YouTube next week. Yes, Ava. Yeah, yes, Ava. Well, I am trying to do a live podcast on the internet, and it looks like you're getting your face in it. Are you getting your face? Where are you going? Do you want to stay? Hey Lou, how you doing? Yeah, so I'm just trying to share this on my personal Facebook. Um, I'm here where Ava's joining me. She's supposed to be in bed, but apparently she thinks that she should be here with me, which is probably well, it's now 8 o'clock, so she should probably be in bed. But I'm not gonna rain on this parade just yet, at least until Melissa shows up and let her do that. Uh, ask your questions. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Now that I got that posted and out of the way, I probably should be trying to use some better software for this, but time has just been so limited. Oh, now bye, Ava. Time has just been so limited that it's very difficult to make sure that I have all the right tech in play to make sure that I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, I just wanted to take the time to talk a little bit about the show and then hopefully answer some questions that any of you may have. So the show is going live. It's going to be on YouTube on Friday. This Friday, I haven't decided a time yet. Probably in the morning, but I'm not certain. And it's going on YouTube for a couple of reasons. The first reason being I need to get more businesses. We have a handful of businesses that want to be on the show. Some of them aren't, unfortunately, in my immediate area, so it makes it a little bit difficult to make that happen. Oh, thanks, Lou, and hey, Lisa. It makes it a little bit difficult to try and fly to these businesses. It's something I hope to be doing in the near future. So part of it is, part of putting the first episode out there and is all about the fact that I want to be able to get more businesses that are interested in being a part of the show, but also more businesses that are interested in sponsoring the shows, because this isn't a free endeavor. I've invested a ton of money, a ton of time to get this right, to get this right. And the initial feedback that I've gotten from pretty much everyone that has seen the first episode, by the way, the first episode was just completed last night, so at like 10:30 at night, and then Melissa, my wife, and I lay down in bed to watch it. I think I fell asleep during it. I was just so exhausted. So yeah, it's been a crazy experience trying to put myself in the shoes of both a creator, a business consultant, and like a director and a editor and a writer, and just all these things. at once, and putting myself in that position where I'm live in front of the business owner. I'm actively trying to figure out and solve the problems that business owner is having. It's it's maybe a little bit harder than I maybe bargained for. Um yeah, I so some of the things that I'm like, let's say things that I'm a little disappointed about from the editing standpoint. Uh I was I was disappointed that I had to cut some things out of the show that I was hoping to leave in. Like, so there's a deleted scene where I'm doing the Mod Podging, like gluing pictures to a block of wood, and it was cool. It was fun. Like, I had never done that before. Hey, what's up, Walt? Hey, Andrew. Hey, BJ. Um, I had never done that before, and so I really wanted to include it because I thought it was kind of funny. And originally it was like a minute and a half of video, and I was able to cut it down to 30 seconds, and then ultimately had to just axe the whole scene. So some stuff like that was just very disappointing, because like you only had 23 minutes 30 seconds to tell a 30-minute story, so everything has to serve the story. And as a creator, especially as a podcast creator, I like to let things breathe. The original, yo, Dre, what's up, man? I like to let things breathe, and it's hard to do that when you have such a small amount of time to to convey a story. So pretty much, if it's not serving the story, it's likely getting lopped off. So let's see. Lou says, what is the time commitment from identifying the business to script to filming to post to the episode dropping? Hey, Jessica. Well, that is and thanks for sharing, PK. I really appreciate that. The time frame. So from initial concept of like, I want to do a show that's not a talk show, because I already do a talk show. I'm doing it right now on this podcast. I'm doing it right now on this Facebook Live. And thank you, Jessica. I do have good taste in clothing, don't I? Shout out to Erica and Jessica out in Flint, Michigan. Actually, Jessica, if you could drop the link to where people can buy this shirt, I would greatly appreciate that. So yeah, like the original like email that I received. Hey, what's going on, Rigor? Is that how you say I think it's Rigor. The original email goes back to like February. So it's been, was it May 6th? It's been like 3 months of like going through, figuring out, can I do this? Do I want to do this? Do I want to commit all this time and effort to a TV show? I have another book that I want to write, and I'm really pumped about writing this leadership book. But I'm like, book versus doing my own TV show. I love doing video. For anyone that's been following me, I mean, I did over like 100+ vlogs in a row, like a daily vlog for 100 days back in 2017. And I loved that process. I loved getting better at editing. I loved getting better at figuring out just everything. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this TV show and I'm going to knock it out of the park. Oh, it's back. Oh, okay. It's backwards. Hi. Okay, John. And then, of course, there's Ava in the background. Ava, come say hi. Hi, Ava. That's your apple. Okay. So anyway, I had, I had a lot of concerns about whether or not I was going to do this, do this show, and if I was capable. So I wanted to put a team of people together. I was making me stick my, and I wanted to put a team of people together. So, because I know that this isn't built off of just me. So I wanted to get some people lined up, some film people, some business experts that I could count on to like come and be a part of the show. And I wanted to make sure that the show wasn't solely about me, right? Like this was a concept of like, how do I go and like help business owners, right? Ava, where am I running to?
To business.
Yeah, two businesses, right? That's where I'm running to in the promo, video. So if you haven't seen that, go to superjoepardo.com and check that out. But and at the end you'll see me running, and Ava says I'm running the businesses to go help them. So I I was also concerned because of how much time it was going to take away from like this little girl right here, and how like, is that a thing that I'm willing to like compromise because of how much time it's going to take to make it happen. So ultimately, after doing a lot of soul searching, talking to a lot of people, originally I was like, oh, I could do an hour-long show and it's going to be great. And after talking to a good friend of mine, Leontine, shout out to Leontine Anglin, I decided, I don't think this makes a lot of sense for me to try to do an hour-long show, because I don't think that I'm going to be able to keep up that pace for 26 episodes. So anyway, we let me see. So from when we got the first business, I put the message out. It's been a little over a month, so like a month and a half. But in that time, Lou, I've been trying to figure out who, what the show is going to look like, and I was working on like the set and working on the dynamics, and one of the things I struggled with was, how am I going to create a show that isn't super influenced by shows that I like and admire, like Bar Rescue and The Prophet? How do I make my show stand out that's different from what they do? And I was definitely nervous about that. So I think ultimately I've landed somewhere between where I initially wanted to, which was vlog and a TV show format. And also I think one of the other big struggles is, it's me and one other person filming this, and it's not like me and like six people that are the film crew and a director, and there's like maybe a writer there, or however they do their reality TV shows. So I really want to make sure that whatever I'm creating for the show, I want it to be very intentional, that like, hey, this show is not designed, does not have six camera people and, a producer right there and a director right there, and, all these other people in behind the scenes that are just making all this happen. So I have to make sure that, the expectations are set. And I think with what we have in the first episode, I think a lot of it makes it pretty clear that like, hey, this is a real run and gun type of show. There isn't the big cameras. I mean, the cameras that we're using are mostly these Canon M50s. There's no lens on this one at the moment, but I have two of these cameras that enables us to, like, this is the one I use for vlogging, and I have another camera that I just picked up, an M100, where the M100 is great because it has a lot of the same technology, but it's just great for like an extra angle, just an extra like camera to have on set that is of the same quality as the other two main cameras that we're using. So I have the white M50 and a black M50. I have the M100, and I have this other camera that just came here, my red camera that I was joking with Andre about picking up a red camera, because red cameras are like $50,000. But this camera is from like 2012. It's the same sensor, slower processor. So it gets a pretty darn close image to what the other ones do, but it was way cheaper, like $150. So it was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense to pick up. And while this camera doesn't have great autofocusing, I can use it as a like a, set it up in front of like the like our first guest expert, Josh Taylor. He Skyped in via through an iPad. So now that we have a camera that I could set up, and like that could be on there, so it's more of a realistic kind of, you're in the room with us, rather than like, here's what the recording of the video looks like in a you know in a in like a closed off bubble kind of thing. Thank you for the hearts, everyone. I really appreciate it. So yeah, so that's just some of the equipment that we're using to do this. I have a gimbal, which I don't think my gimbal I think is out in the garage right now. It's however you say it, the Z word with a Crane V2 is effectively what it is, and I also have a drone. So I want to put an emphasis on like creating a bigger scope of what's going on around us rather than just Andre, yeah, that, that is red, isn't it? And I want to create a bigger scope of like where we're at and what we're doing, and just give a bigger vision of what's going on instead of just like, hey, we got these cameras and they're right there, like let's take advantage of the stuff that we have at hand. So I have a DJI Spark, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's great because it's small and it's relatively quiet compared to other bigger drones and heavier drones. So I've used it in a park and stuff, like where I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but whatever, I used it and no one noticed or didn't bring too much attention to what we were doing, which is always a positive thing. Let me see. So one of the other additions that I just recently added is these the Rode just came out with these little mics. So basically this one sits on top of the camera, like this right here. So it just clips onto the hot shoe on the top of the camera, plugs right into the mic jack, and then this little thing clips right on to the user, kind of like that, and it has a built-in microphone on the top, and so it gets like 7 hours of battery life, has a great range as long as you're facing the camera, don't turn your back away to it, and it just picks up awesome audio for both me and the guest. And I could even put a lab mic into it if I wanted to. Like you could plug in the lab mic, which is cool. I wouldn't use it. Oh, and then, you know what? Now that you're reminding me, John, my best performing video on my channel was filmed on a GoPro Hero 4. GoPros are awesome. In fact, I have a GoPro Hero 7 because my session 5 broke. It just stopped turning on. So this thing is absolutely incredible from sound and everything. Like I'm really I loved my session because it was a little square brick that like no one knew what it was. So it was like on a little tripod and you could get these great time lapses and no one, like, it didn't draw a lot of attention to itself. This draws more attention because people know what this form factor, like what this is. And so I wouldn't just go leaving it around as much as my session. But the audio quality that comes out of this, the video quality that comes out of this is really impressive for being this package. And I use a lot for time lapses. So it's so yeah, and I mean, one of the things I like to do, and I did it a lot when I was doing the daily vlogs, was strapping the GoPro to the roof of the car to get time lapses of driving like down the highways and things of that nature. So yeah, I try to use like every piece of equipment that I have as best as I can. John says, shame is that the Hero 4 took a dump in a construction accident when I was filming, working on my deck. Now I got the the GoPro Hero 5 and it sucks. I want the Hero 7. Yeah, I mean, the Session 5 was great because of the form factor. The issue that the reason I didn't go with the Hero 5 was because it didn't offer enough difference that, like, oh, this is such a big difference that I'm going to spend the extra money to pick that up. And I mean, you can get the Hero 7. I got this for I think $350. So it's not too bad. I think it's or not, I think it was $350 or $300, something like that. So if you're looking for a GoPro, I mean, the great thing about this is like, especially now that I have kids, like we go to the pool, like I can capture the image, I can capture the video of being at the pool without being like, oh, I got my camera, but don't get it too close to the water. And with kids, like you have to be run and gun because they're literally running at any given second. Um, so it's definitely going to get a lot more use than just doing some time lapses and video on set. Is there questions anybody has about the filming process, creating the show? Anything that I'm just curious to see what people feel like feel out as far as like questions of doing this. Oh yeah, so John says the audio is horrible on the 5. The Hero 7 is where it's at, and you get $100 off if you trade in a digital camera, broken or working. Yeah, the Hero, that was the other thing. Yeah, the audio was really crappy on that. So I mostly used it for pool time with the kids and time lapses because it just and on the roof, strapped to the roof. I definitely would not recommend trying to use it as your everyday camera because the audio was just pretty terrible. But what I also love about it is like I was able to get some really neat shots. Like we were at a indoor pool like that had like water buckets and stuff. So in one of the vlogs, I set the camera up so it like faced up, and then the water came down and knocked it over. So it was a cool effect at the end of one of my. I don't remember which video it was, but yeah. So I don't remember which video specifically it was, but it was one of the early ones because when I was first making those videos, I was doing like 10-minute videos, and I was putting in business lessons into them to try to have a reason for people to learn as well as like enjoy what I have going on and what's going on around me. So I definitely um I appreciated the fact that I had a camera that could take a beating. Also, John says we will have to have you up for the NYC video mastermind. I would absolutely love to. Let's make that happen, John. We still got to get together. I haven't forgotten about it. We can definitely get together. This week is probably at this point is probably next week. I'd be able to. Yo, what's up, Eric? Good to see you, man. We're rocking your shirt. Thanks for sharing the video. Let's see. Lou says you mentioned 23-minute or 23.5-minute episode, and I was wondering what the total time investment was per episode. Oh, man. So we shot so shooting the episodes. One of the limitations that I have is I don't have a week to go to a business and shoot. So because I'm at the repair shop and doing other things, one of the requirements of the show was like I gotta shoot everything in like one day. Like it's a 1-day shoot, and I'm gonna figure out how to get all the shots we need and get it into 1 day. And some people are like, that's crazy. That is not possible. So we went up. I don't have the dates in front of me. I can let me pull them up so I know what I'm yapping on about here. Let's see. Shoot. It was on a Monday. It was on Monday the 22nd we shot. So we got there about I think like 6:30 in the morning, and we got home about 8:30 at night. I woke up at like 4 a.m. The JD who was shooting with me got up at like the same time. We got to my house. We went there, spent all day. I dumped when I got home, I was so tired and beat. I didn't even dump the video off of my SD cards until the next day. So 23rd, I dumped the cards. On the 27th, or no, on the night of the 26th, I started editing, and I edited from like 7 o'clock until like 11 o'clock. So that's what, like 3-4 hours there. Saturday, I edited from like 7 o'clock at night to probably about 10 o'clock at night. So we're like 7 hours. Then you take 7 hours. And like Sunday, I spent pretty much all day from like 8 a.m. until I don't even remember when, like 9, 8. So it was like another 12, 13 hours. So 13 plus 7. So you're like 20 hours of editing. And then, so a little behind the scenes, one of the scenes didn't actually happen on the day in which we filmed. I actually got the idea from my good friend Max. Shout out to Maxwell Ivy. She's the blind blogger. You should go check him out. Blindblogger.net. He was like, well, why don't you go and reshoot that? Just shoot that scene. Like, go get permission and go up. So I was like, well, let me talk to the owner. Okay, got the clearance. So then we went back up. I took Jan Lexus, who was an intern of mine when I worked at HopeWorks, took her with me up on when did I take her? I took her up with me on this past Saturday, and we were there from about 3. I think I got home about, was it 10, something like that, 10 o'clock at night. So that's another like 7 hours. So you're like 27 hours, and then editing Sunday night from probably like 7:30 until I think like 10:30 or 11. I think it was like 10:30. Yeah, like 10:30. So that's another 4 hours. So like 31 hours. Does that answer your question, Lou? It took way too long. Now, part of the reason it took so long was because when we shot, I didn't plan too well. I also didn't have these Rode mics, which would really, really help, because having shotgun mics is awesome. It's great. It's, you're vlogging, the mic's right in front of you, blah, 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 blah. It's picking up like everything. It's awesome. What's not awesome is when the cameras are far away and there's other noises and things like that. So what we did was we used this H1N Zoom from Zoom, and we had a lav mic, a Rode lav mic. I think it was a Rode Lav Mic Plus plugged into it. It sat in the business owner's back pocket, and it worked. It did the job. The problem is then you have to go and sync the audio to multiple video, multiple videos, and then like edit it. And truth be told, I'm still using iMovie. I'm gonna be upgrading to Final Cut soon here, because of the fact that iMovie limits you to like 2 layers of footage on top of each other, and I need more like 4, 5, 6. I mean, right now I have 4 cameras, 5 cameras with the GoPro, 6 cameras with the the drone. So I got to be able to layer a couple different shots on top of each other. And the issue that I had was it just took so long. So I think a lot of the editing went into trying to get everything synced up properly and figuring out which shots. And basically what I did was I was like, let me just tell the story. Like that's number one. Let me tell this whole story. And the video was like, okay, great. It's done. It's 58 minutes. Well, that's like, I got to cut that down a lot. Like what, 35 minutes? I got to cut that down like 35 minutes. So then I just went back over the footage, started cutting up again. Then I went back and said, okay, so I have a time frame to work within, right? So they give you the part of the TV show, and I don't have it in front of me. I think it's on my laptop, but I don't have that. It's in my bag somewhere. They give you a set amount of time before each break. So like the first one's like 4 minutes. 4 minutes in, there's a break. So my footage has to stop at 4 minutes exactly. And then there's a 2-minute break. And then at like 11 minutes or 13 minutes, something like that, there's another break. And then there's another, then I get another chunk of time. So on the 3rd or 4th, like going through the footage, that's when I started like, okay, I'm gonna actually do it the right way and like find the spots that I'm going to use for like where I'm going to do the coming up next, and then like a short like preview, like a 5-6 second preview of like something that happens in the future of the episode. And then so I just edited it act by act, all 4 acts, and knocked it out. So going forward, now that I have the formula that I like and I feel comfortable with, and that I've, talking with some people, have gotten positive feedback on, hey, Erica, that I've got positive feedback on, I am going to write out like, okay, this is the formula. Like act one, we're, going to the business and introducing the business, and then act two, we're meeting the business owner specifically, and we're doing, going to go over numbers, or we're going to go and fix some of the stuff, and then we're, then in act three, we're going to go do this thing, and then I don't want to spoil all of it, but by act four, we did some other fixes, and we met with the guest expert. So, and then we do like a wrap up. So it's, so basically coming up with that formula that fits within the 23.5-minute time frame is it's tough. Thanks, Isaac. I appreciate that. I love Eric. I'm very honored to know him. Let me get to see. John says they have software that syncs the clips automatically in Premiere Pro. I think it's like $250 for the software. That's cool, but this was $200, and it syncs like right automatically right into the camera. So for anyone that didn't see it earlier, it sits right on top of the camera, plugs right into the microphone jack. On this camera, the microphone jack's right there, so just like you're just plugging it in from there down into there, and then you turn it on, and it even levels. It shows you like the levels and stuff right on the screen. It's really, really helpful. We got to use it on Saturday when we went back up to shoot one final scene, and it just makes life so much easier. For the money that I spent on it, it's absolutely worth it. And it's USB-C, so USB-C all the things is a thing with this awesome little microphone that you just clip on and forget about, and it can be powered. That's the other important thing. It can be powered while you're recording with it. So if you have a cage, like I have a cage for the M50, I could strap a battery like to the side of the camera or to like the bottom of the camera or something, and power the microphone at the same time. So yeah, so that's good. Color grading, and that can all take another hour, and lower thirds and toasts can take 6 hours. Yeah, so with this show, I decided that because of the equipment that I'm working with, C-Log isn't a thing that I have access to. So I decided that I'm just gonna roll with what I got. So I'm not gonna do the whole color grading process. I've actually never gone through the color grading process. Lower thirds is kind of a mixed bag right now. Like it's all I have good lower thirds. I just haven't implemented them into the show. So I think that something going forward. So going forward, I think I will probably try to implement them. I just, for this episode, or at least for right now, what got uploaded to YouTube earlier today and will be released on Friday for anyone who wasn't there or wasn't here earlier to hear. Hey Stacy, I didn't use them. I just used the built-in lower thirds for now, because it's not too complicated, but I there are some things, like after getting some feedback, there's some things I want to change. I want to tweak, like adding the logo to the bottom of the screen and things like that. So as John says, that software that syncs I'm talking about is you drag all your footage in your timeline from multiple camera sources, and it syncs all the footage within your timeline, so you don't have to do it manually. That makes a lot of sense. I'm not opposed to it. I think before I go and spend that money on one piece of software, I may just I may just try to do at least one or two more episodes and see how much of a pain in the butt it is. I mean, to do the claps is not a big deal, but when we were in the moment, we forgot to do that. Like we knew, like we were talking about on the way up, psyching ourselves up. Okay, every time we turn the cameras on, we're gonna do the claps and make sure that we can get all the audio synced from all the different cameras. That did not happen. But I will say this, like a lot of cases, I don't necessarily want to use like 4 or 5 camera angles to tell the story, because I don't feel that I need to jump from camera to camera to camera a whole bunch, especially because the show is only 23 minutes long, versus if it was an hour long, then I could let like some of the conversations breathe a little more and inject a little bit more into it. So I don't know. I'm not opposed to the software. That sounds like it would save an awful lot of time, and it very well may be something that I'm interested at some point. But let me get into Final Cut Pro because I've only used Final Cut like one time. I did the free trial once when I was doing videos, when I was trying to do daily videos, and it was probably a bad time for me to try to switch software at that time. So I don't think I don't really, because I was even trying to get into Adobe Premiere, and with that I tried messing around with it. It just feels so much heavier to me, than using iMovie, which is, I mean, obviously very simplistic, and but I can edit so quick because I know what I'm doing. I don't know, it's all about the tool, right? It's all about what tool you have and using it to the best of your ability. So is there any questions that anybody in the watching here? I mean, we've had quite a few people in and out. Anybody have any questions about, creating the show, finding the right, guest businesses? For anyone that didn't hear, the episode will be live on YouTube, for everyone to check out on Friday morning. So look forward to that that being announced and getting put out there. I'm overall really, really happy with the way it came out. I think there's a lot of really good things that came out of this episode, especially since we just went into it like we're gonna run and gun and we're just gonna get it. Whatever is there, I'm just gonna make it happen. And we did. We made it happen, and we got a bunch of footage. And I'm there, like I said, there's some things that I think that I'm going to take bits and pieces of and sprinkle it and amplify it in other episodes, in future episodes. Let's see. So John says Jimmy DeResta was telling us on Friday evening that he just switched back to iMovie. Jimmy said it is because it is super easy. I think he said Casey Neistat switched back to iMovie as well. It wouldn't surprise me. One of the things I love about watching, Casey's videos is that he's not afraid to just do things in an analog kind of way, because he admits, he's like, I don't know how to use After Effects. I don't really want to use After Effects. I don't want to do all that stuff. And I'm very much the same way. Like, I know how to use the software I know. And it would take me a long time to like get into using that stuff. And I also feel like I would go into using it too maybe too much, right? Like you could start to use it as a crutch. One of the things, here's a good example of that. Something we started to use as a crutch was the gimbal, right? We had this gimbal and we're like, oh, we're gonna use it like all handheld shots on gimbal and all that. And it works. I don't think the whole thing needs to be shot on from a gimbal standpoint, but it is pretty cool to have pretty stable footage, especially when we're walking and doing that kind of stuff. I think, but I think you can start to use things as a crutch, and I think being able to like just say, oh well, I'll just edit that in post. A good example of that is there was a kid that made this video the other day where he did like a zoom out, like it started out as like a drone shot, and it zoomed out, and then just turned into a map. And then the map turned into, went from like a topography map to like a road map on his phone, and then zoomed out, and he was in the car. And it was so cool. People were like, wow, this is incredible. So he came out with his own tutorial video, and I'm watching that video, and he's like, this took me 11 hours to do. And I was like, whoa, that is just way too long. Like, I do not want to get sucked into that road. With that said, with this episode, I wanted to do something similar. So what did I do? Well, I pulled up good old Google Maps, and I took screenshots as I zoomed in of the area that we were headed to. And then I kind of like, threw them in iMovie and shrunk the time frame on each of them down, and moved the Ken Burns effect and got it to be somewhat good. And even then, even after I sped it up, I actually had to go and clip out some of the frames to make it look a little better, like a little more congruent. Hey, what's up, Mike? And what's up, Eric? Welcome. And Stacy said you jumped in the deep end without a raft. Good for you. How did the client feel about the episode? So the client, she definitely, I'm going to tag the client here. Let's see. I'm going to tag her right in here, her Facebook page right there. She is over the moon. She is working really, really hard to get her business where she needs it to be, because she wants to be able to leave her current situation behind, as far as having to work for somebody else. Oh, hey Sandra. Yeah, so it's, let me see, is there a way for me to can I invite people into this? Apparently not from here. I guess only on the app you can invite people in to share the Facebook experience with you, which kind of stinks. So I'd love to have Sandra on here. So and maybe we could do that. Maybe we could set that up for like Friday or something. We could do a live stream to talk about things. I'll talk to you later about that, Sandra. Yeah, so I did this map effect, and it took me, I don't know, it probably still took me like 40 minutes, 40 minutes of like clipping all these different pictures together to make that effect. And it wasn't nearly as magical as the guy, the kid in on YouTube that did it. I really wish I could have had him just do it for me. But he even went as far to try to mask where he lived, so he like cut out his street and put it somewhere else in South Carolina, so people couldn't tell where he was as it went out and out and out, so no one would match it up. And I think he only had like 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers. Not, I say only, but 4,000 subscribers to spend 11 hours. I mean, he's going places. That's for darn sure. And so, Sandra, thank you for saying the whole experience has been amazing. The experience is actually still going on because we are working together one-on-one. Well, I don't want to spoil everything, but we're still working together to get her where she wants to be. So John asked what I'm using for live streaming. I am just using my Chrome browser with the Facebook Live, and my webcam up here, my C920 on my Windows computer. So it works. It's not perfect. I'm actually going to be doing a live stream tomorrow night. I used to use like a combination of Skype and OBS to do this. But I mean, I just figured this would just be easier to just jump right on here. And one thing I didn't do is I didn't hit the record button on my on Audacity to record the audio straight off the mic. So I'm hoping that the audio isn't like garbage town, so I can upload this to my podcast feed for tomorrow, because that was the whole point of this. Because tomorrow night I'll be live streaming with Eric Hunley of the Unstructured Podcast, which is a great podcast you should go listen to. And we'll be live streaming about MapCon. I'll be interviewing Eric about podcasting related stuff. So if you're interested in that, type in, let me tag the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference here. And if you go like that page, you'll see tomorrow there will be a live stream with me and him in it. Let's see, save the extra scenes for Patreon. And Eric, thank you so much for mentioning Patreon. If you are watching this stream and thinking like, this is really awesome, and I want to find a way to help support Joe, being able to watch this is awesome. But if you want to get extra scenes, if you want your name in the credits of the show, if you want to work one-on-one with me on your business or on your media creation, or whatever, all the other things that I work on, but really specifically business or media creations specifically, go to, I'm going to throw the link here in the chat, superjoepardo.com/support. That's where you'll find the Patreon page where you can donate right to the project and on a monthly basis to help support getting this onto not only TV but into more hands, and also helping support me being able to hire other people to help, so I don't have to invest 20 hours necessarily in the whole editing process now that I'm working towards getting the formula set up so that I can get in right there. Let's see. It's using SteamYard. So John says he's doing it with SteamYard. Try SteamYard. Then you can invite up to 5 additional panelists. That sounds awesome. I know with the iPad app, I can invite a guest, and I was going to use the iPad. In fact, if I turn my camera a little bit, you'll see there's an iPad on a tripod right there. Right. Oh, my hand is right there. Yeah. So with that said, my daughter was being quite loud, and I was doing some test video, and what I found was that it was picking her up in her room, which is on the other side. That's one of the reasons why there's backpacks on my wall, is to dampen some of the sound and kind of keep it a little more quieter in here. So yeah, where was I going with this? Yeah, so I'm open to the idea of trying something else. I just haven't had the time to sit down and do it. Like I said, I used to use Skype and OBS to do these types of like interview calls and stuff like that, and I probably still would do it that way, since that's the way I know how to do it. But if I can just use the iPad and record, well, actually no, because it depends how the audio comes out out of this recording from Facebook. That's a big question mark for me. Hey, what's up, John? Yeah, so if you go to the superjoepardo.com/support, that's where you'll get the Patreon, like we're just deleted scenes, like the me doing the Mod Podge with Sandra. That will be on there, and as well as some other footage that A, didn't make it in the show, or B, was never designed to be included in the show. Oh, man. Okay, so any questions? Any questions I could answer? Equipment related, personality related, team related. I know John said I got to get Eric said I need a bigger team. I don't disagree. Part of getting a bigger team is to being able to pay a bigger team, and right now we're, one of the main reasons, if you weren't here earlier, one of the main reasons that I'm putting the episode out on YouTube on Friday morning, so that people can see it, is so that we can recruit more businesses and get more support from sponsors. It's, doing all this is not free. I've funded everything myself up to this point, and it's something of a dream that I want to bring into reality. And I think once people see what we've put together here in with the first episode, I think people are going to be really excited and on board with the idea that, like, hey, I want to get behind this, and I want to get like I want to get on the boat before it pulls away from the shore, because I feel like it's going to go real fast and furious once that happens, once it gets out there, once we get rolling, get a few more episodes under my belt. I'm looking forward to making that happen in the near future. I'm like, maybe in the next week or two, I'd like to go and film episode 2. I have a few businesses in mind. I'm just waiting to get them to sign on board. And I think once they see what we bring to the table, I think they're going to be really, really pumped about what they're going to get out of the experience, because it's as Sandra can testify to, it's not, it's pretty real. It's not staged. It's not reality TV as you may know it. Let's see. Eric says, do you worry about them being similar? Your own voice will come out over time. I mean, don't worry. Don't worry about them being similar. Let's see. Eric said, did you put together a sponsor package for the show? I absolutely have a sponsor package for the show, Eric. It is, if you go to Super Joe Pardo, I'm going to type it in the chat here, superjoepardo.com/ I think it's partners. Let me just double check that before I put it out there, but I think it's superjoepardo.com/partners. It will take you to a page that has contact form, the promo to the to the show, as well as a link to getting to the media kit, so that you can learn more about the sponsorships. Now, here's something that I could talk about. The On the sponsorship end, um, we, initially I think I got a little overzealous. I was like, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna put it on prime time, I'm gonna, afford all the fees and everything that goes in along with it, and because we're gonna have sponsors, and we just knock this thing out of the park. It's gonna be incredible. And and at the time I also went from thinking like, oh, this could be like a half-hour show, that it should totally be an hour-long show, and blah blah blah. And I think finding enough relevant content to make it a TV show that's an hour long would be a struggle for me, especially after seeing what I had to go through in this first episode. But with that said, I kind of think, after talking with one of the people that had gotten to listen to the show or watch the show, they think, and I was kind of under the impression too, that the show could actually be a podcast of its own. So I may do an audio version of it for Patreons to take part in, if they wanted to be able to just listen to the show, because it really tells, it's a lot of talking. So yeah, so with that said, like, I pulled back some of the sponsorship packages pricing, because I initially was like, we're going to be on prime time in 40 markets. It's going to be awesome. Like, everybody's got to get on board. And I got this promo video, and like, I wasn't getting the feedback that I was looking for. The like, yes, I want to sponsor this, and I'm going to. Here's a check. Take my money. And it got me a little worried. So I decided, like, you know what, I'm going to pull it back a little bit, maybe not go prime time with the show to start. We're going to go, we're going to go and do a 30-minute show instead of an hour-long show. And as Stacy's saying, managing expectations is a pain sometimes. And it is, because I had to manage my own expectations of, am I going to be able to pull this off? Am I going to be able to raise the money that I need, so I'm not funding the entire thing myself? And even just like, think about this, right? Just think about, if my food and fuel budget needs to be like, and I don't know, like $150 to $200 per episode, between driving back and forth, buying, the food, like the lunch or the dinner or whatever, that kind of food. When you start adding it up for like multiple people and multiple tens of miles, hundreds of miles I got to drive to be there, just that alone is a lot of money. It's got to come from somewhere. So I that's why I had to like pull back and say, okay, I got to get something together, because my expectation is even if I wasn't able to raise the money, if I wasn't able to get the sponsors on board that I needed, at a certain point, this show was happening. This isn't stopping, right? This show is going to move forward regardless of if it ends up on TV or it doesn't, for whatever the reason. Like, if the network was like, oh no, we're pulling out, or if whatever. I was like, I got this vision, and I have this baby, and I'm going to put this baby on TV. One way or another, or it would go to YouTube, and I would just take the longer road to getting where I wanted to be. Sandra said, it would be a wonderful investment for anyone who supports your show. Super Joe Pardo has been so helpful. This show is going to help a lot of struggling businesses. Sandra, I can tell you one person, and somebody told me that saw that I showed it to, wrote to me and said, this has helped me with my business. So like, it's not even, that's what I love about doing this, is it's not just even about your business, the person I'm going to help. It's about the people that come along for the ride of watching it and learning from it and getting something out of it. That part of it, I think, is so powerful, because it gives the person who thinks they don't have a voice, or the person who thinks that, their end of the story isn't important enough, it gives them a platform to help somebody else that's thinking the same thing with the same problems. They're all going through the same struggles, and your help by me allowing, or you allowing me, by you allowing me to help me help you, uh I can, we can help other people together. And I think that's just so wonderful. Being able to help other people like that. I need to take a drink of water because I am like I can't. It is very true, Sandra. I'm so grateful that we had such a wonderful guest, business on the show to allow us to come and film and talk about business and talk about numbers and talk about the real struggles that, because like people sometimes seem to forget that businesses are like robots. They want to go 24/7 every day, all day, but businesses are just a shell, and there's people inside of that, and those people have real struggles and real external issues that they're dealing with. Sometimes it's internal issues, sometimes it's confidence issues, sometimes it's outside people beating them up and telling them like, hey, what you're doing doesn't matter, and give up because that one time I tried my dreams, it was not fun, and I will never do that again. Because somebody else told me that what I was trying to accomplish wasn't important enough. So these are things that we as people, like, we deal with, outside relationships that we have that are battling, inside of us. So it's such a, yeah, it's a combination of all those things. It's so complicated that it's not just black and white. And like I said, businesses are very black and white. They want to operate 24/7, just go 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 go. And unfortunately, we live in a time where businesses can operate 24/7, and through online services and online retail and that kind of stuff. So it's not it's not impossible for that to be a thing, but a lot of times, the business owners are putting themselves at a disadvantage because they feel like they have to shoulder so much of the weight, so much of the load themselves in the process. And, delegating and finding other people that can do very specific things and being able to pay those people is, that's a whole task in and of itself. But I think it would help because the stress of everything from financial to personal, uh, other people's personal financial struggles are all affecting everything. So that's why I'm just so like happy that we have a platform to not only be able to help the business owners that I'm going to see, but also the business owners that are watching the show, or people that want to be business owners, people that want to have their own business, that are like, hey, those are issues I want to have, and they're like, sign me up. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention, so our guest expert on this first episode that comes out on Friday is Josh Taylor of Modern Mouse Boutique. So I'm going to tag him in their shop on Facebook, or their Facebook page as well. You should go check out their stuff. If you love Disney, you probably should go check out their mouse ears. They're pretty. I'm just about to do mouse ears myself. They're pretty awesome. And Josh was a wonderful guest expert that really helped Sandra see the light as far as getting to be a full-time working on her business, making handmade things. So I am getting pretty tired at this point. If does anybody else have any more questions I could answer before I wrap this very long? I was not expecting it to be this long. I thought we was going to be like a 10-minute thing, pop on, pop off, and call it a day. But I have been so blessed to have so many awesome people that just have been coming through here this whole time, and asking questions and interacting, and I feel really, really fortunate to have that, to have all of you be here and be a part of this, because this journey is super, super crazy. I didn't think that I'd be able to to make this a reality. it's pretty wild. That just like 3 months ago, this was just like a pipe dream of like, someday I want to have a show like Marcus Lemonis. So Stacy's asking where she can find the episode 1. Oh, hey Lee, what's going on? The episode will be dropping on YouTube on Friday morning. I will be putting out a post, be out on Facebook and Twitter and all that, pointing back to YouTube, because I want I want people to be able to all try to go to one place to see it, ideally, and pump up the number so that I can get the most amount of it, feedback and attention that I can from, like I said, potential business owners and potential sponsors. Though after the initial run of it going out, maybe after the weekend or whatever, I'll probably post it on Facebook. I would love to post it on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn only allows 10 minutes of footage video, and that's not a thing. I haven't decided if I'm going to do like a promo video kind of thing for the show. Oh, thanks, Lee. I really, really appreciate that. It's still pretty crazy. At some point, Lee, I would love to have you come be one of those guest experts on the show. If you'd be if I could be so honored. I think if I just got to find the right business that allows us to come and hang out and film and learn and fix their problems. And you would be a perfect fit for some bigger operations that I'm hoping to bring on to the show. So hopefully, fingers crossed that's a thing in the not too distant future. So yeah. So Friday's the day. Tomorrow night, if you guys guys, gals are around, I'll be doing a Facebook Live with Eric Hunley of the Structured Podcast, or Unstructured Podcast. It's the Unstructured Podcast. I probably should do a promo for LinkedIn. That probably would be a good idea. I will have to see if I can find some time to do that over the weekend, over the course of this week or over the weekend. My nights at this point are pretty jam-packed, night after night after night, and I will definitely let you know as soon as I find the right business that's worth either getting you on a Skype call or that's worth getting you up here. Or if you're up in the Northeast area, I will absolutely be giving you a call, Lee. There's no doubt about it. And there's you as well, Stacy, about interior design. I just got to find the right businesses that I can plug you into to make get the most impact for everybody. Even if it's after, just do it. I will be doing the promo video, Stacy. You've convinced me. I will do it for LinkedIn. There's one of the reasons why. So like one of the reasons why my show, if you've been listening to the podcast, you might have noticed that like in the last, I haven't been super regular in the last few months, and I think I want to make that effort to do it differently. That's one of the reasons why scheduling this time now, I think doing Facebook Lives, to not just talk about this but to answer, I want to answer business related questions as well. And just doing this so it gives me that time to not have to make it perfect and all that stuff. I could just get it done, get it out. You'll be in the Northeast before December. That is great to hear. Maybe we can schedule it. There's a couple other people that are supposed to be here like in September from Australia that I really want to have on the show as well as guest experts. So it's a possibility we can make it happen. Because I don't necessarily want every episode being, here's the business owner and here's the iPad where they're talking to the guest expert via video chat. I obviously right now I'm just trying to get this whole ball rolling. So if that's the way it's got to be for now, that's the way it's got to be. But finding the right people for the job, that's one of the things that I am very blessed to have is a huge network of people that I've built up over the last 5 years of podcasting and networking. That just incredible. I mean, most of them are doing way cooler things than I am, in my opinion, or have done way cooler things than I am. And it is too cold. You know what? I would say, yeah, after December, because December has become like the second fall for us up here in the Northeast. It's actually quite mild. Someday, like one day it'll be 60 degrees, and the next day it'll be like 30 degrees, and then it'll go back to 50, and then back to 40, and then 60 degrees again. And it's crazy up here. So yeah, I will see what I can do about making that. Yeah, well, global changing weather patterns, warming patterns, whatever. It things are changing. That's for darn sure. Anyway, I am gonna go. Before I don't know if you can tell my voice is just feeling like it's shot. But I feel really great about this, and great to have you all on board with getting us there. And yeah, climate change. That's right, Lee. It's a thing. It's definitely changing. It's not what it was. So it's changing. Anyway, I am out of here, everyone. I will see some of you hopefully tomorrow night when I interview Eric Hunley of the Unstructured podcast for MapCon. It was good talking to you, John, as well. I will try to reach out and see when we can make it happen. When we can get together. Like I said, next week I think is kind of busy for me. Or no, this week is kind of busy. Next week is next week is kind of limited too. It looks like in 2 weeks I actually have quite a bit of openings in the evening hours. So yeah, we can make that happen. All right, I should probably not be talking like that, but yeah. All right, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful night, and I will maybe do one more live before it comes out on Friday. If not, maybe I'll do one with the business owner Sandra after either after it comes out or around the time in which it comes out. All right. Hey, everybody. Take care.